Hey guys, how's it going? Since it is almost Halloween and I missed the chance to do this tag last year, today's video is going to be the Hocus Pocus writing tag. This tag was originally created by Kim Chance and Destiny Murtag, I think it's how it's pronounced. I'm gonna link Kim's video down below, but Destiny's I can't find, and the few links I found bring to a blank page. So either her video got privated or deleted or something. If I do end up finding it, I'll still link it down below, but if it's not there, that's why. Basically, it's just a bunch of writing questions with the theme of Hocus Pocus, so that sounds super fun, so I'm gonna get right into it. Question number 1. Sarah, Mary, and Winifred Sanderson. Being a witch is hard, but so is writing. If you had magic witchy powers, what aspect of writing, or what part of the writing process, would you magically skip over? If we're thinking like big picture here, I would say draft 2. Because I've learned recently that revisions are a pain in the butt, and specifically going from draft 1 to draft 2, I don't like it. I like going from draft 2 to draft 3 because you're taking a kind of good story and making it an even better story, but from draft 1 to draft 2 is a very messy story and trying to make it into something that's somewhat decent. So I would skip the first round of revisions if I had magic powers. If we're thinking slightly smaller scale, I would love to just magically skip over the beginning. Once I get into the story, writing it is super fun, but I just put a lot of pressure on myself for the very beginning. If I could just magically have like the first 2 chapters done, writing would be so much easier. Question number 2, Max and Danny. What relationships tend to be at the core of your books? Friends, family, romance? For me, it's definitely not romance. I'm not a big romance person. I don't really enjoy reading it usually, and it's not something that I just naturally tend to write. If 2 of my characters end up kind of developing a romance on their own, then I'm not gonna not write it, but it's never something that I really go into the story planning to write. I'd say the most common type of relationship that I write is buddies. Not necessarily friends, just buddies. People that kind of get along and then have to become friends. That's my favorite trope. Not enemies to lovers, but buddies to friends. I just find like buddies are just more like casual, like, oh yeah, they're a buddy of mine, but not quite a strong friendship, but I like going from one to the other. So I would say that probably. Question number 3, amok, amok, amok. How do you approach the chaos that is drafting? Are you a plotter, a pantser, or a combination of both? I am such a plotter. I love plotting. It works so much better for me. I've tried pantsing a couple times and it just doesn't work. I have learned fairly recently that I should be taking a more pantsery approach to dialogue specifically, because sometimes I overplan dialogue and it just sounds very robotic and forced. But as far as drafting overall and like coming up with the story, I need to plot it, I need to know where I'm going, I need to know a couple key scenes to get there so that I can be motivated to keep going. If I don't know what I'm working towards, I'm gonna run out of steam very quickly, I'm gonna get lost, and I'm not gonna have fun, and I'm probably not gonna finish the project. So definitely plotting. Question number 4, I put a spell on you. How do you deal with book ideas that want to pull your focus from your main work in progress? This I haven't had as much trouble with in the last couple years. Like, I think I've gotten a lot better at focusing on the project I'm currently working on, and honestly I think that's just practice for the most part. But one thing that I did that I found really helped is I have a document or folder in my computer of miscellaneous ideas. So if there's an idea that just keeps nagging at me, I'll just open up a new document and just very quickly point form like what parts of the idea are stuck in my head, and very loosely and roughly get it out of my head and onto the page. And that way I don't have to worry about forgetting about it, but it's set aside and I can move on to something else. A couple times that second idea has just taken over, and if it gets too extreme, that's just a sign to me that I'm not into the story I'm currently writing, and usually then I'll take a break and maybe focus on this new idea for a little while. But for the most part, I just write it down, get it out of my head, and focus on my current work in progress. Question number 5, Thackeray Banks. Things aren't always what they seem. Think back to when you first started writing to where you are now. How has your process transformed from then to now? I'm going to expand on this a little bit later because it ties into another question. I guess I didn't really do revisions enough. I put a lot of pressure on my first draft to be a strong, solid draft, and if it wasn't, I would just be hard on myself and beat myself up, and I did more edits than revisions, but that would be the biggest change from then to now, is that I guess my first drafts have gotten messier, but that's a good thing. It just took me a while to accept that. Question number 6, my lucky rat tail. Do you have a writing ritual? If not, what are some of your favorite writing tools? I'd say my writing ritual is lately just turning on an AuthorTube write-in and sitting down and focusing. Sometimes it'll be a specific song, or sometimes wearing one of my NaNoWriMo shirts will just kind of be like a little mental cue to myself that, okay, we are serious, we need to work now. But the quickest and easiest way for me to get into the mindset of writing is an AuthorTube write-in. Lately, my work schedule has been all over the place and I've missed most of them live, so I just keep putting them onto a playlist. So I just have one of those playing on my laptop, I'll be typing at my desktop, and I'll just be going from there. But that is the quickest and easiest way for me to get into the writing mindset and the writing mood. Question number 7. Book! Favorite writing craft book. I don't really have one. I've only read one of them and I like it and all, but I have nothing to compare it to. So really, I don't have one. Question number 8. Another glorious morning. Do you enjoy writing in the morning or do you prefer the evening like Winifred? Definitely the evening. Usually if I'm writing in the morning, it's because I haven't slept yet. Like when Brooke from By the Brook does her 5 a.m. writing streams, usually it's because I haven't gone to bed yet, so I write and then I sleep. And also, hey Ripley, if I'm planning on writing after work, I can spend the whole day in the back of my mind thinking about my story and just getting myself excited and pumped and working through some things in the back of my head and just getting excited and getting motivated and really into my story. I find if I'm writing in the morning, I can't always do that, but when I'm writing at night, it just works so much better for me, and I'm just a more creative person at night, so definitely evenings like Winifred. Question number 9, the black flame candle. What's one of the biggest mistakes you've made so far in your writing journey, or what is the biggest lesson you've learned? This one I briefly touched on in the previous question, but revisions, and really acknowledging that revisions are a thing. In my earlier writing journey, I did edits, but not revisions. So I would write out the story, and then I would read through it and correct little things like grammar, spelling, word choice, beef up a couple things and change some things around, but it was more line edits than actual revisions and rewrites. Now I have really gotten my revision process a lot more down pat. Like I don't have it set in stone, and I want to do a couple more different revision projects before I really know for sure what works best for me. And that was something that honestly before I started watching AuthorTube, I just didn't realize, because most of my revision knowledge and experience was from school, where you don't really do revisions for like essays or projects, you do edits, and your projects are on such a smaller scale for the most part that, I don't know, it just wasn't something that I kind of understood and realized the importance of. Question number 10, Billy Butcherson. What's a trope that most people hate but you love and would love to see it come back from the dead? I would say this one would be coming back from the dead. I love when you kill off a character and then they end up coming back much later on in like usually a really dramatic or emotional way, especially if they had like a really significant death, but it has to be done right. A lot of times this is done really badly, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like this trope, because a lot of times it's kind of a cop-out from the writer. I'm gonna give a spoiler for the TV show Prison Break. This was like from 10 years ago, but if you haven't seen season like 3 or 4, skip to the time that I'm gonna put on the screen. Basically, the main character's girlfriend is killed, she's beheaded, and his brother gets mailed her head in a box. And it's like a really dramatic, gruesome, obviously, death. And then like a season later, she comes back, and it was just such sloppy writing, because the fact that she was killed off was a really well done moment. Like it was really big as far as character development and plot and stuff goes. And it was almost like they ran out of ideas, so they just brought her back. But it was the way that it was done. She just magically appeared out of nowhere one day and was like, oh, surprise, I'm not dead. And his brother, who saw her head in a box, was like, oh, I guess it was just somebody that looked like her. Like, I'm sorry, but that's bad writing. I just hated that. Like, that's actually when I stopped watching the show because it was just, I couldn't after that. But if it's like a character goes missing, or I don't want to give examples because a lot of the examples that are coming to my mind are spoilery for more recent things, but say someone is attacked and you leave them bleeding on the side of the road and then they come back later. Like, I like when it's, you kind of think that maybe they're not dead, but it's very strongly implied that they're dead, and you kind of get to go through that grieving process, and then you kind of forget about them, and then they come back. Like, I love that stuff, especially if the character has to completely, like, derail their current mission to go and rescue that person or save them from wherever they're trapped, like something like that. I just love it. So as long as it's done right, that is one of my top favorite tropes. And finally, question 11. Come Little Children, songs that give you a hypnotic focus while writing, i.e. favorite songs on your writing playlist. For me, it really depends on the project, but for every work in progress I have, there's one song that just really gets me in the mood for it. I don't usually have specific playlists for my writing. Either I'm just watching an on-the-tube write-in and I just listen to the sound of typing, or I'm just having my music on shuffle, but sometimes there's just one specific song that really gets me in the mood for that story. But honestly, the sound of somebody typing, like Kate Kavanaugh's typing sounds are my all-time favorite. Like, her keyboard just has such a great sound to it. And that was the Hocus Pocus writing tag. Again, the original video and the questions are going to be linked down below. If you end up doing this tag, or if you have done this tag, let me know in the comments so I can check it out, because like I said, I love this tag and I love Halloween and I love writing and all that great stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all of my videos about writing and reading and whatever else I post. My regular videos are posted every Wednesday and Sunday, but also for the month of November, I'm doing daily vlogs for NaNoWriMo. As of right now, I'm planning on twice a week having either booktube or non-NaNoWriMo related content, but the other 5 days a week are going to be specifically NaNoWriMo related. So if that sounds interesting, don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!